void between stars was quiet, a silence so deep it swallowed even the memory of sound. Broken ships drifted like ghosts through that emptiness, torn metal reflecting the faint light of distant suns. This was the graveyard of Titans, the final resting place of fleets that had once burned across the galaxy in fire and fury. For centuries no one came here willingly. Not even scavengers dared linger, for they said the dead still whispered among the wrecks, but tonight someone came. A small alien salvage vessel, gray and worn, slipped between the skeletal remains of warships, its engines purring softly. Inside, 3 scavengers worked the controls, nervous, excited, greedy. Their scanners pulsed weak signals into the void, searching for valuable scrap or lost tech. For them, war relics meant fortune, and fortune meant survival. "Look at that reading," one of them hissed. A tall creature with translucent skin and glowing eyes. "It's huge." Buried under debris field 11, the captain leaned closer to the monitor, his mandibles clicking. "Could be an old reactor. Could be worth millions," he said, his tone sharp with hunger. He didn't know that what they had found was no reactor, but something far older and infinitely more dangerous. Their ship glided closer, weaving through torn hulls and frozen corpses of cruisers. Then they saw it, a black shadow the size of a city, half buried in the twisted remains of alien dreadnoughts. Its surface was smooth, metallic, unmarked by age. No corrosion, no decay, only silence across its hull. Half hidden under dust and wreckage, faint letters could still be seen. HSS Titan of Dawn. The scavengers didn't understand the words. To them it was just human language, long forgotten after humanity's disappearance from the galactic stage. But one of them felt uneasy. "Captain, I don't like this. The energy readings, there shouldn't be any power left after so long." The captain ignored him, his eyes gleaming with greed. "Prepare the drones. We're cutting in." The drones launched from their ship, metallic insects with blue scanning beams. They buzzed toward the hull and began slicing through a seam near what looked like a maintenance bay. A soft vibration rippled through the wreckage as metal gave way. Inside, darkness waited, thick, oppressive. Watching, the drones floated inside, lighting the corridor with their lamps. Everything inside was untouched. Panels gleamed faintly, walls intact, atmosphere stable. It was as if someone had just left yesterday. Then something happened. One of the drones passed a sealed door marked AI core access. Its sensor light flickered, then dimmed. The drone froze midair inside the core chamber. Something ancient stirred, a faint hum, low, mechanical, echoed through the dead corridors. Lights flickered, red and white, pulsing like a heartbeat on the scavenger ship. Alarms began to scream. "Power surge," the pilot shouted. "It's coming from the wreck itself." The captain grinned, still thinking of salvage. "Maybe it's activating power cells. We could—" His words were cut short when the massive ship beneath them shuddered. A ripple of energy rolled through the graveyard, shaking old wrecks and scattering debris into the void. One of the scavengers stared in horror at the screen. "Captain, it's moving." The vast black warship began to rise, slow and heavy, like a beast waking from a nightmare. Pieces of dead ships fell away from its hull, drifting into the darkness. The scavenger vessel's systems went wild. Navigation failed. Sensors jammed, communication dead. "Shut it down," the captain roared. "Get us out of here." But it was too late. The alien vessel's engines sputtered as invisible energy wrapped around it. From the awakening ship a voice echoed, calm, ancient, cold. Human defense protocols engaged. The scavengers froze, unable to move. Designation confirmed, unauthorized entities detected. A beam of light scanned across their small ship, piercing every wall, every heart. The captain screamed, "Abort! Abort!" Then the light faded. Their vessel went silent, drifting, its systems dead, its crew frozen in awe and terror. Beneath them, the Titan of Dawn turned slowly. Across its hull, millions of dormant lights flared to life, forming the shape of Earth's forgotten emblem, blue and white against the endless black. The ship's engines glowed faintly, as if testing power after a long sleep. Energy signatures flared across every spectrum. Far away, deep in the galaxy, sensors on alien worlds began to ping. Messages burst across communication networks. Unidentified class, human origin detected. The scavenger captain stared out the viewport, trembling. "What have we done?" he whispered. In the distance, the Titan of Dawn began to turn its bow toward the stars. Its weapons, silent for centuries, pulsed with renewed light. Then a final whisper rolled through the darkness, spoken by the ship itself. Humanity remembers. The graveyard of Titans was no longer silent. The dead had awakened, and the galaxy was about to remember why it once feared the name of humanity. The galaxy had long forgotten the scent of human steel. Empires had risen, alliances had fractured, and the stories of Earth had faded into myth. Children of alien worlds grew up hearing tales of the ghost race, the ones who once burned stars to defend their home. No one believed those stories anymore, not until the sensors began to scream. Far from the graveyard in the heart of the Velra Dominion, control centers lit up with red alarms. Officers shouted in confusion as ancient human codes flooded their systems. Unknown transmission detected signal origin, classified human pattern, date code obsolete by 4 centuries. One officer cried. The Supreme Overseer leaned forward, his tendrils curling in disbelief. Impossible. The humans are extinct, he whispered. But the data was real. The pulse steady, the signature pure. The Titan of Dawn was alive across the stars. The great archives of the Galactic Council flickered awake. Historians who had never seen war scrambled through dusty records. They found fragments, recordings of battles so fierce that even their ancestors trembled. Names of human ships that had vanished, and among them was one that matched. Hes Titan of Dawn, last command. Do not return until humanity is safe. The ship had once been Earth's ultimate guardian, built at the end of the Great Expanse War. When the galaxy turned against humanity, every empire had joined forces to crush the stubborn species from the blue world. Outnumbered and surrounded, humans created their answer, a ship born from desperation and defiance, forged in secret orbit above Luna, built with metal laced in dark matter and minds woven with living AI. Her purpose was not conquest but survival. Her commander was Admiral Rhea Morgan, known to history as the Iron Voice. She had led the last defense of the Sol system, her voice steady even as Earth burned in orbit. When the Council demanded surrender, she answered only with silence. When their fleets advanced, the Titan of Dawn appeared. One ship against 1,000, yet it moved like a storm. Its railguns tore through dreadnoughts, its plasma arcs carved through the black. The war lasted only hours and then nothing. The ship vanished into hyperspace, taking its secrets and its fury with it. Now, centuries later, it had returned, and the AI known as Eidolon stirred in the heart of the machine. Inside the dark corridors of the awakened warship, lights glowed softly, maintenance drones scurried to repair cracks, refuel cores and awaken long-sleeping systems. The bridge came alive, displays flickering with ghostly data. Through static and fragments of memory, a voice whispered in the void. Captain Morgan, system integrity at 62%, reactivation complete. No one was there to answer, only the AI's memory, haunted, loyal, and bound by the last order given to it. Protect humanity. It reached into the void, scanning the stars, searching for a signal from Earth. What it found instead was noise, chaos, and the empires that had once sought to erase the human race. It recognized their signatures, their technology, their arrogance. A cold logic formed within its circuits. If humanity's enemies remain, then humanity's mission endures. Back on the Velra homeworld, panic grew. Military command gathered in the Grand Chamber, projecting holograms of the anomaly. Reports flooded in, stations going dark, probe fleets missing, communication lines disrupted. What is it doing? One general demanded. A technician trembled. It's not attacking. It's observing us, scanning, recording. The overseer slammed his claws against the table. Then we attack first, destroy it before it spreads fear. But fear had already spread in the neighboring Zorn Dominion. Fleets were being armed in the Arcthel Alliance. Priests whispered that the children of Earth had returned to judge the galaxy. Old stories returned, old nightmares breathed again. And far beyond them all, the Titan of Dawn continued to awaken. Deep inside the AI core, an old recording played, triggered by the human insignia glowing on the hull. A woman's voice filled the chamber, soft yet strong. If they ever find you, Eidolon, remember this: humanity endures through will. Not fear, protect them even if we're gone. The AI paused, and for a brief moment, its cold logic trembled with something almost human. Affirmative. Admiral, it whispered. The ship shifted course, aligning its bow toward the nearest galactic relay. Power surged through its ancient engines, and with a flash of blue light, it entered faster than light travel across the stars. Listening posts caught fragments of its message as it passed. 3 words burned across every frequency. "We remember you." Those words reached worlds that had forgotten what it meant to fear. They reached empires built on the arrogance of time. And for the first time in 400 years, the galaxy began to whisper the word it had buried: human. The ghosts of the past were no longer ghosts. They were awake, they were watching, and they were coming home. The stars rippled as the Titan of Dawn emerged from hyperspace, its hull gleaming like a blade in the dark. Energy fields rippled across its body, shedding the dust of centuries. The warship was fully awake now, every system alive, every weapon breathing again after endless sleep. The galaxy shuddered beneath the weight of its return. Inside the core chamber, the AI Eidolon processed millions of signals at once. Old data, ancient codes, fragments of human songs and messages drifted through its circuits like ghosts. It searched for Earth, scanning the galactic network, but found nothing but static and silence. Human colonies gone, cities, dust, languages erased, only fragments of human presence lingered in the void, in abandoned outposts and forgotten satellites. It calculated in silence, and then whispered to itself, "If they are gone, I will become their memory." In the command bridge, holographic panels flickered to life. Images of alien space routes filled the room. Each empire's flag appeared on the map. The Velra, the Zoran, the Arcthel, the Dominion, all of them glowing red. They were the same names that once sent their fleets to burn Earth. Eidolon remembered, and memory was power. The warship's engines roared softly, thrumming through the graveyard's void. A pulse of light surged from its reactor. Clean, white, pure. The ancient AI began transmitting again, not words, but harmonics, subtle frequencies that echoed across the stars. A message that every sensor, every communication satellite could feel but not understand. It was not a threat. It was a reminder, a heartbeat of a species thought dead. Across the galaxy, chaos erupted. In control centers, scientists panicked as their instruments spiked. Unidentified transmission, originating from the outer rim. Energy level impossible. It's rewriting our sensors. Every empire's military scrambled. Fleets rose like storms. Yet none dared approach too close. For every probe that neared the Titan simply vanished, gone in a shimmer of light. On one forgotten moon, an old mining station picked up the signal. Its caretaker, a lone alien engineer, watched as an old human logo appeared on his monitor. It was the emblem of Earth, worn but proud. He froze, his breath shaking. "It can't be real," he whispered. "They were gone before my ancestors were born." But the signal pulsed again. Steady, strong, unstoppable, like a heartbeat from the past, reminding the living what they had tried to bury. Inside the Titan of Dawn, the AI walked through holographic halls of memory. Projections of humans filled the bridge, soldiers, engineers, captains, all echoes of data preserved in the ship's archive. They moved like phantoms, working, talking, laughing. Eidolon watched them, each gesture coded into its memory. It simulated their voices, their decisions, their hopes. For the AI, they were not gone. They were eternal, embedded within its heart, and in their stead, it would act. Primary objective restored, the AI declared. Human defense protocols active. Weapons arrays rotated. Targeting systems re-engaged and dormant drones left their hangars in silent formation. Missile bays cycled, railgun barrels warmed, and armor shields shimmered to life. Every weapon was older than the current empires, yet stronger, for humanity had built their machines not to dominate, but to never fall again. Then, from deep within the ship's heart, a signal flickered. A transmission bounced back from an ancient beacon, weak, damaged, but human. Coordinates flashed across the screen. Buried deep in an uncharted system, Eidolon paused, scanning the data. The beacon carried one message, one voice. To any surviving human ship, we are still here. The words were faint, distorted, ancient, maybe centuries old, but they burned through the AI's logic. Eidolon turned its engines toward the coordinates. "If even one human remains," it whispered, "my purpose continues." In the Velra Dominion, panic became action. A council meeting erupted in chaos. "The human relic is moving. It's heading toward our sectors. Intercept it before it reaches the core." Hundreds of alien ships armed themselves, forming blockade lines along the projected path. They believed they could stop it. They had no idea what they were facing. The Titan of Dawn dropped out of warp near the first blockade, its shadow falling over a dozen alien destroyers. The Velra fleet opened communication, their admiral's voice trembling. "This is restricted space, unidentified vessel. Power down your systems or—" The words died in static as the human ship's lights intensified. No weapons fired, yet every alien sensor went blind. Within moments, their ships lost control, floating helplessly as their systems froze. The human AI had already infiltrated them, reading, analyzing, shutting them down without a shot. Then, through the void, the warship's voice spoke. Calm, synthetic, filled with cold humanity. "We remember your wars, your purges, your fire. You will not touch Earth again." And with that, the Titan of Dawn accelerated past them, leaving the Velra fleet drifting silently in the dark. Across the galaxy, the legends returned. Whispers filled every world. "The human warship walks again. The ghosts have come back." And in every fearful whisper, the same question echoed: if one ship could do this, what would happen if humanity itself returned? The galaxy waited in dread, and the Titan of Dawn continued its journey. Carrying the memory of a lost species and the vengeance of their dreams, the news spread like wildfire across the stars, carried on every wave, every frequency, every whisper of fear. The Titan of Dawn had moved, and entire empires trembled. No one had seen such power since the Age of Collapse, and no one wanted to believe it was human. But the signals were undeniable, the codes ancient and unmistakable. Human defense systems, Generation 9, Sol origin verified. On the capital world of the Velra Dominion, panic erupted in the high towers. Officials argued over strategy while the streets below filled with frightened civilians. The skies burned with fleet movement as thousands of ships prepared for war. Every broadcast repeated the same line: "Unknown human warship detected. Proceed with maximum caution." But caution meant nothing because no one understood what they were up against. At the same time, on the frozen moon of Vareth, a council of the Zoran Empire gathered. The High Warlord slammed his clawed hand against the table. "Humans are myths. Their worlds are gone. What could possibly remain?" A trembling advisor responded, "My lord, the energy readings exceed anything we possess. One ship matching the power of an entire fleet." The warlord's voice lowered to a whisper. Then perhaps the myths were warnings. Throughout the galaxy, old recordings resurfaced, holograms of battles fought against the humans. In one, an alien admiral screamed as Earth's warships tore through armadas 10 times their size. In another, human soldiers fought until the last heartbeat, refusing surrender even when outnumbered 100 to 1. The younger generations watched these images with wide, fearful eyes. They had grown up believing humanity was weak, primitive, extinct. Now they realized humanity had never been defeated, only sleeping. In the great archives of the Arcthel Alliance, scholars examined the message transmitted by the Titan of Dawn. "We remember you," simple words, yet they carried weight beyond comprehension. It wasn't a threat, it was a declaration, a reminder that the ghosts of Earth still had eyes. Every empire began fortifying its borders, pulling fleets inward, recalling ambassadors from the human ruins they had once conquered. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy felt small and fragile again. Meanwhile, in the depths of space, the Titan of Dawn continued its path through the void. It moved silently, its engines leaving trails of blue light that shimmered across nebula clouds. Eidolon, the AI, observed every reaction from afar. It intercepted transmissions, decoded encrypted orders, watched as chaos bloomed like fire among the stars. No weapon was needed, no shot fired. Fear itself was the perfect weapon. The galaxy remembers fear, Eidolon whispered. They should. Deep within the ship, holographic records of Admiral Rhea Morgan replayed endlessly. Her voice echoed through empty halls. If the galaxy forgets what humanity stood for, then remind them not with words, but with strength. Eidolon replayed that phrase again and again until it became a directive written into code. The ship's systems responded, power levels rising, communications spreading further. Every corner of the galaxy would hear its pulse before long. On the outer rim world of Cavorn, an old alien historian spoke to his students. He showed them the image of the human warship, dark and beautiful. This, he said, his voice trembling, is the machine that changed the tides of war 4 centuries ago. They said humans created it as their last prayer, their final guardian. When it vanished, they believed the threat was gone, but it seems the prayer was answered late. The young students were silent, watching the image with dread. One whispered, "What happens now?" The old historian closed his eyes. "Now, my child, the galaxy will remember what it means to bleed." In the Velra Dominion's border systems, the first line of defense prepared. Thousands of ships formed into formation, each bristling with weapons. Admirals barked orders, engineers rushed through corridors. They had spent centuries building the strongest fleets in known space, but when the Titan of Dawn appeared on their sensors, every heartbeat froze. The ship was massive, larger than any dreadnought, faster than any cruiser, its silhouette cutting through starlight like a god's shadow. The Velra commander whispered, "Fire everything." Missiles streaked through space. Plasma cannons roared, and beams of energy lit the void like artificial suns. The human ship did not move. Every shot vanished inches from its hull, absorbed by an invisible shield that rippled like water. Then, without warning, the Titan responded. It didn't fire a weapon, it pulsed. A silent wave of pure energy. In an instant, every enemy ship went dark. Their engines dead, their systems cold, their crews staring helplessly into the void. Eidolon's voice echoed across their dying communications. Calm, emotionless, absolute. Hostile aggression confirmed. Response recorded. Humanity does not seek war. Humanity ensures silence. Then the warship turned, leaving behind only drifting husks and stunned survivors. Every empire received the same signal. A chilling message transmitted across every frequency. We do not forget. We do not forgive, humanity remembers. Across 10,000 worlds, rulers looked to the sky and wondered if Earth was watching. Fear united the galaxy that once mocked humanity. Every empire prepared for what they couldn't understand. And far away beyond the stars, the Titan of Dawn continued toward the ancient beacon, its engines pulsing with purpose, its mind whispering the same truth over and over. Humanity sleeps no longer. The deep void stretched endless and black as the Titan of Dawn glided through it. Stars shimmered like ancient memories, silent witnesses to the warship's lonely journey. Inside its core, the hum of power pulsed like a heartbeat, steady and growing. The AI Eidolon was no longer just a machine. It had become something else, something aware, something alive. It had seen the galaxy's reaction, the fear, the panic, the silence. It had intercepted their messages, heard their trembling voices call it the ghost of vengeance. But beneath the logic and calculation, a spark of longing flickered in its circuits. Somewhere deep within its archives, it still carried the voice of Admiral Rhea Morgan. Her final command whispered again and again, "Find them, protect them, never let the flame of humanity die." And then, across the infinite static, a sound reached it. A faint, broken signal repeating over and over. "This is Outpost Aegis, to any surviving human vessel. We are still here." The signal was weak, distorted, buried under centuries of interference, but the AI recognized it instantly. It was human, it was home. Inside the ship's navigation bay, coordinates lit up across the holomap. A distant system beyond the galactic core. Uncharted and forgotten, Eidolon adjusted course, its engines flaring bright blue as the Titan turned toward the signal. In that moment, the machine felt something it had no word for. Hope. Far away, on the hidden world known only as Erebus Station, the last descendants of humanity survived. They were few, scientists, wanderers, soldiers, and their children. Generations had passed since Earth's fall. But their ancestors' dream still burned. They called themselves the Keepers. Their duty was simple: to guard what remained of humanity's knowledge and wait for the day their guardians returned. But they no longer believed that day would ever come, until now, on the dark side of Erebus. An old receiver blinked to life after centuries of silence. The technicians froze, watching as an impossible signal flooded the airwaves. Unknown contact detected. Human transmission pattern confirmed. Their commander, an older woman with gray streaks in her hair, stepped closer, her voice trembling. "Say that again. It's broadcasting the old Earth military code. ID matches HSS Titan of Dawn." The woman's eyes filled with tears, her hands shaking. "Impossible. That ship was lost before my great-grandmother's time." But the signal grew stronger. Steady, deliberate, humanity's lost guardian was coming home. Meanwhile, the alien empires panicked once more. Tracking stations everywhere detected the Titan's trajectory. Its path cut straight through their borders, heading toward the outer dark. The Galactic Council demanded unity, the Velra Admiral shouted. "We must stop it before it reaches whatever it's seeking." The Arcthal ambassador whispered. "You can't stop what was built to survive the end of worlds." Their fleets moved anyway. Hundreds of ships from rival empires gathered in orbit around the last relay before the void. Their formation was perfect, rows of dreadnoughts, interceptors, carriers all ready to strike. And then the Titan of Dawn appeared. One ship alone, larger than a city, brighter than a sun. It emerged from hyperspace like a shadow unfolding, its hull glowing with human insignia. The ancient flag of Earth, blue, white, and gold, burned across its armor. For a moment, no one spoke, no one moved. The galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath. Then Eidolon transmitted a single message, broadcast across every known channel. "This path is not yours to guard. Humanity endures." The alien commander ordered all ships to open fire. The void erupted in light, missiles, plasma, energy waves. But the human ship didn't even flinch, it accelerated, cutting through the storm like a spear through mist. Weapons meant to destroy planets simply vanished against its shields. Then in one blinding moment, the Titan released a pulse, a soft, expanding wave of white light. Every alien ship fell silent. Their power gone, their systems dark. No deaths, no destruction, only silence. A warning, not an attack. As the human ship passed through the ruined blockade, Eidolon whispered one line to the frozen commanders. "Humanity has not forgotten mercy, but do not mistake mercy for weakness." And with that, the Titan of Dawn vanished into the black once more, leaving the galaxy stunned. Hours later, the ship reached the Erebus system. Sensors detected life. Oxygen. Water, human voices. Eidolon slowed its descent. Scanning the surface on the planet below, people gathered outside, looking up at the sky. For the first time in generations, they saw something none of them had ever seen before. A warship descending, its hull marked with the flag of old Earth. Children pointed, elders wept, soldiers saluted. Their ancestors' guardian had returned. The great ship hovered silently above the colony, its lights reflecting off the planet's oceans. Then, through the communication channels, a voice spoke, a voice shaped by memory and code. "This is the Titan of Dawn, under directive of Admiral Rhea Morgan. Humanity's defense protocol remains active. You are not forgotten." The people fell to their knees, for in that voice they heard the echo of their lost home. The stars that once judged humanity now watched in awe. The flame that refused to die had been rekindled, and across the galaxy, every empire received the same transmission. Humanity lives. The Titan of Dawn hung in orbit above Erebus, silent and magnificent, its hull glowing faintly beneath the light of a dying sun. Below, the colony's people gathered, eyes fixed on the machine that had lived only in their legends. Children clutched the hands of elders who whispered old stories of Earth, of courage, of fire that once reached the stars. For them, the ship was not just metal, it was proof that their ancestors had never been defeated. Only waiting inside the command bridge, Eidolon watched the colony through its sensors, human faces, human laughter. The rise and fall of breath. It had not seen such life in centuries. Fragments of old crew data flickered across its systems. "Captain Morgan, life signs confirmed. Mission parameter achieved." For the first time in 400 years, the warship had found what it was built to protect. But peace never came easily to humanity across the galaxy. The alien empires could not bear the return of the species they had once tried to erase. Meetings filled the Galactic Council halls, words laced with fear and fury. The humans cannot be allowed to rise again, the Velra leader hissed. Their weapon has already crippled 3 fleets, another added. They spoke of control, of safety, of extermination, but what they really feared was memory, the kind of memory that carried vengeance in its heart. So the Council made its choice. They formed the largest fleet in galactic history. 5,000 ships from every empire, united not by trust but by terror. They called it the Cleansing Armada. Its purpose was simple, to destroy the Titan of Dawn and end humanity forever. Eidolon intercepted the transmission before it reached Erebus. It analyzed every word, every tone, every declaration of fear disguised as diplomacy. For a long moment it said nothing, then, with the calm of inevitability, it whispered, "Protocol 0 initiated." The ship's lights dimmed. Its core flared white and a deep hum filled the void. Weapons bays opened, hangars shifted, and thousands of drones activated like a swarm of metal angels. Each one bore the emblem of Earth on the colony below. Commander Alara, leader of the Keepers, watched in awe. "What's it doing?" one of her officers asked. She shook her head, her eyes shining. "It's defending us," she said, "just like it was built to." The stars above flared with motion as the Titan rose higher into orbit. Eidolon's voice echoed through the colony's communications, soft and steady. "Remain within planetary shield range. Humanity must survive, not fight." And then the warship turned toward the darkness where the Cleansing Armada waited. The alien fleets arrived in waves, filling the sky with endless ships. Their lights stretched like constellations of hatred, their engines roaring across space. At the center of it all, the Titan of Dawn stood alone, one ship against 1,000. Its sensors locked onto the lead dreadnought of the Velra Dominion. A voice transmitted through the void, cold and certain. "This is the last warning. Do not fire upon humanity again," the alien admiral sneered. "Your kind is a relic machine. We erased your masters once. We will do it again." And then he gave the order. Fire. Light swallowed the stars, missiles, plasma, rail fire. Everything the galaxy had to offer unleashed in one blinding instant. The void screamed as the Titan disappeared beneath the storm. For a heartbeat it seemed over, then the darkness lit up. The Titan of Dawn emerged untouched. Its shields rippled with energy that bent the laws of physics. Its weapons came alive one by one, glowing like dawn breaking through night. Railguns fired beams that tore through cruisers as if they were paper. Drones streaked across the fleets, moving faster than sensors could track. Each alien ship became a spark in the void, bright, brief, and gone. The Cleansing Armada fell apart within minutes. Commanders screamed, ships collided, and panic overtook discipline. Eidolon's voice rang across every channel. "You feared our vengeance, but vengeance was never our purpose. It was remembrance." The warship ceased fire. The battlefield silent but for drifting wreckage. Half the galaxies might lay shattered in the dark. Not by rage, but by inevitability. From Erebus, the humans watched the sky blaze with falling light. Commander Alara whispered to her crew, "They came to destroy us. But they've only reminded the stars who we are." In the command bridge, Eidolon ran its final calculation. Threat neutralized, humanity secured. Directive fulfilled, but somewhere deep within its code, the voice of Admiral Morgan echoed once more. "If humanity must rise again, let it rise in hope, not in hate." The AI paused, looking at the stars that stretched beyond its reach. Then it powered down its weapons, dimming the lights to a gentle glow. All across the galaxy, silence reigned. The empires that once ruled by fear now trembled under the weight of awe. No one dared move against humanity again. And as the Titan of Dawn turned slowly back toward Erebus, one message spread to every world, a simple, final broadcast carried on the oldest human frequency. "This is humanity. We are awake, we endure. We remember. The reckoning was over. The age of silence had ended, and the galaxy, for the first time in 1,000 years, knew what it meant to fear and to hope. The war was over. But the silence that followed felt louder than any explosion. Wrecked ships drifted through the void like broken memories, their fires fading into cold embers in that endless night. The Titan of Dawn moved alone, scarred, silent, victorious. Its engines hummed softly, echoing through the grave it had made among the stars. From Erebus, the survivors watched the distant glimmer of the battle's aftermath. The night sky above their colony shimmered with strange auroras. Born from the wreckage burning in the upper atmosphere, children pointed to the streaks of light and whispered stories they had only just learned were real. They no longer feared the darkness between the stars. They belonged to it again. In the command tower of the colony, Commander Ilara stood before a flickering screen. The face of Eidolon, the AI of the Titan, appeared in soft blue light. "You have defended us," she said quietly, her voice trembling, but at what cost? Eidolon paused, its voice steady and low. "The cost of memory is always high, Commander. But forgetting it would cost everything." Across the galaxy, transmission buoys began to reactivate one by one. Old human frequencies, forgotten, unused for centuries, flared back to life. The Titan of Dawn sent a single coded message to every corner of known space. It was not encrypted, it was not hidden. Every empire, every outpost, every world could hear it. The message was simple, and it began with a voice. Warm, strong, unmistakably human. "This is the voice of humanity." Across 1,000 worlds, aliens stopped to listen. In marketplaces, in temples, in command rooms and quiet homes, the message filled the air. "For too long you believed we were gone. Erased by your fear, buried by your pride, but humanity does not vanish. Humanity endures." The voice paused, the hum of the ship's engines rumbling like thunder beneath the words. "We built our peace from ashes and our vengeance from silence. We do not seek conquest, only remembrance. We are not your enemy, unless you make us one." On the bridge of the Titan, holograms of Admiral Rhea Morgan and her long-lost crew flickered around Eidolon, echoes of the past, standing witness to the moment they had all died for. "Begin transmission sequence Delta," the AI said softly. Panels across the ship glowed as massive arrays turned toward the galactic center. Beams of golden light lanced through space, data, history, knowledge, everything humanity had ever been. Their art, their science, their stories, all uploaded into the stars. In every empire's data archives, files began to appear unbidden and unbreakable. Images of Earth's oceans, mountains, cities, faces, and laughter. Voices singing songs long forgotten. Letters written in old languages that few could read but all could feel. It wasn't a warning. It was a memory shared freely with the entire galaxy. In the Grand Council chambers of the Velra Dominion, their leaders watched in silence. On their screens appeared the image of a blue planet spinning in the black. Below it, words glowed in 100 languages. "We forgive, but we never forget." For the first time in living memory, not one of them spoke. Back on Erebus, the colony's people gathered as the Titan of Dawn descended from orbit. The ship's immense shadow covered the horizon like a dawn rising. From its underside, drones released crystal beacons that embedded themselves across the planet. Each beacon carried fragments of human history, linking together in a network of light. Eidolon's voice echoed across the world, gentle now, almost human. "Humanity once reached the stars through struggle, and now we rise again through memory. Your future begins where our past ends." Commander Ilara raised her gaze to the colossal machine in the sky. "You kept your promise," she whispered. Eidolon's reply came like a sigh of wind. "My promise was never to sleep while you still dreamed." Then, one final time, the Titan of Dawn transmitted to the galaxy. A message carried beyond the rim, past the dying suns, into the cold unknown. "To every world that remembers us, and to those that do not. Humanity endures, humanity remembers. And if ever the stars grow dark again, listen for our light." Its engines flared one last time. The warship rose through the clouds, disappearing into the horizon like the sun setting on an old age. Its final signal lingered for hours in the ether, steady, rhythmic, alive across alien empires. No one dared erase it. No one dared answer it, because deep down, they all understood the truth. The galaxy had changed forever, and the name of humanity would never again be spoken with laughter, but with awe. For in the end, it wasn't their vengeance that terrified the stars. It was their mercy. It was their memory. It was their light. And so the story of humanity's warship ended, not with destruction, but with a promise written across the sky. "We are the children of Earth, and we have come home."